Greatness. It's not an appetite for accolades.
A couple more runs, man, you got the rushing title. And he's like, really? He's like, yeah, it's not that important, and he jogs off the field.
Nor to strive for the praise of lips.
And now I want to introduce you to the third best running back that ever lived, Barry Sanders.
Not determined by the style of a celebration.
He either hand the ball to the referee with his right hand or hand it to him with his left hand.
Greatness is much more. It's humble, resilient, authentic. We celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Lions finding one who defined greatness best.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like at this time to introduce to you one of the finest running backs in the United States of America, and our number 1 pick, Barry Sanders.
The young Heisman Trophy winner was eager to restore the roar in the Detroit Lions. Knowing the fullness of his career, one might expect Sanders to rush for 71 yards and a touchdown in his NFL debut, though the chance came as a bit of a surprise.
I guess around the latter part of that first game, sitting there watching against the Cardinals, I wasn't necessarily supposed to play in the game, but I suited out for it. One of the coaches, I think it was Coach Dave Levy, must have asked me, do I want to go in the game?
11-yard gain and waiting in the wings on the sideline is Barry Sanders. He's coming up in bunts. You'll hear the cheer.
The crowd's getting restless and they want to see Barry. Part of me is I want to see the show. I want him to play. Bob Galliano might have said that when he went into the game, he said, man, I don't even know the plays. He said, I'll just give you the ball and you run.
And he showed me a few plays on the sideline, and fortunately, it was a running play.
Here's Sanders with his first carry. Listen to him.
First run, guys, the legend was on its way. Started rolling, scored a touchdown on a little toss around him. Nobody could touch him.
Sanders, touchdown! It has been years since the Detroit crowd has been this excited about the Lions, and Barry Sanders has given them a shot in the arm.
The fact that I was officially here playing, it was a thrill. And playing running back in the NFL, it was so thrilling and exciting, and just fun.
The place goes nuts. The Lions lose the game, but all anybody can remember was Barry Sanders. The greatest running show in the history of pro football had started right at that moment.
Sanders, and that'll do it for Barry Sanders. Has just broken the rookie rushing mark held by Billy Sims. There's Billy on the sideline. Billy Sims genuinely saying yesterday how thrilled he was to watch this guy and see him get a chance to break the record. And here's his reaction when Barry Sanders went over the mark.
Oh, he put on a show. No question about it. Matter of fact, I think there was some talk about drafting Deion, and I had put a call in to Wayne Fonz to tell him, if you don't draft Barry Sanders, you crazy as hell. He'll tell you that. Yeah. I used to shake my head watching. Got some of his highlight film. It's unreal what he do.
With a pace set at nothing short of spectacular and a final game against the Falcons, most expected Sanders to finish the '89 season strong by leading the league in rushing.
First down, Sanders again gained 11 on his first carry and gets outside for more. Another first down. Barry Sanders with over 1,000 yards, but starting the day today, Christian Okoye going in Miami against the Dolphins in his final game.
After reaching 158 yards with barely a minute remaining, the humble running back took himself out of the game, just 10 yards shy of the title.
I take blame for that because I told Barry during the timeout, I said, man, 10 more yards, you have it. And he was like, have what? I said, you had a rushing title for the season, and he was averaging, 8-9 yards a carry that game. I said, yeah, a couple more runs, man, you got the rushing title. Okoye's done for today. And he's like, really? He's like, yeah, it's not that important, and he jogs off the field.
And the other thing about it is he unlaced his shoes and everything, which means there might have been something wrong with it, with his ankle or maybe his foot, something, as to why he didn't get back in the game.
Man, so sometimes I look back and say, I shouldn't even have said anything.
Just watching Barry through that season and at that moment, He didn't need sort of a capstone or whatever you want to call it. He didn't need another line in his resume.
Well, Barry Sanders will finish his rookie season certainly with an outstanding total yardage-wise and a great year overall. But Sanders comes up short as Christian Okoye wins the NFL rushing title for 1989.
Yeah, look, I apologize to my linemen, my teammates, because if I hadn't said anything, he would have stayed in and got the rushing title. But here's the beauty of Barry. He wasn't caught up in the wars and notoriety. Like, we had the game won. That's the kind of person and player he was.
Statistics and stuff, I don't get caught up in it. Sometimes when you set statistical goals, it can really get in the way of what you're really supposed to be trying to do, and that's win.
Here's Pete back to throw. He hands off to Sanders. Gets outside to the 30, 25, 20, spins to the 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! Barry Sanders, a 35-yard run, and it was brilliant. What a sight.
Barry's my new idol now. I love the way the guy runs. When I grow up, I want to run just like him.
It didn't take long for the excitement of Detroit's star running back to spread throughout the country, and certainly close to home. Their beloved number 20 had given Lions fans something they'd longed for since the '83 division crown: hope. No greater a glimmer than Sanders' third season.
Coming into 91, we knew we had potential, and we just didn't know how much.
Handoff, Barry gets inside, skirts outside, he takes it in, touchdown Lions, Barry Sanders. Draw play to Barry, 45, 40, open field, 30, he's to the 20, Sanders to the 10, see ya later, touchdown Lions.
I really can't explain it, but having those string of wins at home, the momentum and something happened, and obviously the Silverdome was a very big part of that.
Smell of stale beer, cigarettes. I mean, it was like, okay, is this a NFL stadium? But it became the lifeblood. I mean, you can feel the energy on game day, out from the outside all the way in.
Possibly the loudest roar ever heard from the Silverdome was during the Lions' final game of the '91 season.
The NFC divisional playoff games, the Lions and the Cowboys.
Tell you, this is one fired up Detroit Lion football team.
And one fired up stadium to go with it.
And the two are helping each other. The two are feeding off each other.
The crowd was so loud. It was so jam-packed in there. It was so rowdy and excited.
The biggest thing about that game, the energy in the Silverdome was unbelievable. I get goosebumps now even thinking about it.
Finally to Sanders, who spins away from one tackler, from two, and out of bounds. They'll have to either try a field goal or punt it. A loss of one. A lot of dancing, but not much doing.
Because of the season that I had and sort of the reputation that I had at that time, we knew they were going to stop the run, and we knew they had, very good defense. I remember, things being very slow.
They only ran 4 times that first half and passed 23. I think that is the biggest surprise of the game. I mean, to only run 4 times when you have Barry Sanders has to be a shock to everyone.
We just knew as a defense, it doesn't matter, at some point in this game, all it took was one play for Barry to break one.
Sanders still on his feet, and Sanders is gone. 6 Cowboys missed him.
One of those runs where it looked like I was going to be stopped, kind of bounce off a defender. It kind of looked like they thought I was down or was about to go down, and didn't react fast enough and was able to pop out of there.
47-yard touchdown run by Barry Sanders.
You think you got him tackled? I mean, that's by keeping your feet going and making Sanders move. Some of those moves, there's only one guy in this game that makes, and you just saw that guy.
Stop for a moment and say to yourself, one more win and the Lions are in the Super Bowl. They are in the NFC title game next week after destroying Dallas today 38-6. We've got highlights. Unbelievable. Fourth quarter. Lions trying to run the clock out. Barry Sanders is stopped. No. A pass. Watch 75. Hey, who's that behind you, 75? He's gone. Barry Sanders at 69 yards on the day, 47 on this touchdown. The Lions win it 38-6. This was a day that Lions fans will never forget.
Indeed, they had witnessed one of the greatest runs from Sanders, not only during that season, but in his career. And while a postseason win made the front page, the underlying storyline from that game against Dallas would culminate 3 years later, not just as a rivalry of teams, but of running backs.
I remember one year when Barry was playing with the Lions, and he was playing the Cowboys. And I told some of the guys on the team, y'all better put on some extra tape on your ankles. Barry's coming to town.
The Detroit Lions are visiting Dallas for the first time since 1977. It's been 17 years since the Lions have appeared in Dallas.
You know, when you look on the other sideline and you see guys like Charles Haley, you see Emmett, you see Troy, you see Michael Irvin, and all these guys going into the Hall of Fame. They had such a great team. They had won, I don't know, 1 or 2 Super Bowls at that time. We felt like, you know, one of those Super Bowls probably should have been ours, and we wanted to go out and prove that we were just as good. Felt like so much more than just a game and so much more than just another Monday night game.
They have to get to the 13. They give it to Sanders. Barry inside the 20, and Barry is rushed out of bounds at the 15. Vintage Sanders.
Oh, man, that's something. That's good stuff, isn't it? I'll tell you, you're watching 2 of the best that ever played this game, and Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders. And I hope nobody asks us which one we think is the best. It'd be hard to pinpoint it.
I think it mattered some to me and to Emmett. It certainly mattered that he was playing at the same time that I did.
Well, I think, you know, anytime you have a rivalry, and if it's quarterbacks, it's Manning and Brady, you know, for a decade and a half, even though they don't play each other, they compete for statistics, they compete for head-to-head if they can, for a Monday night game. It was Barry against Emmett.
Sanders, great. And Smith does it again. First down from the 17-yard line. Barry Sanders breaks one out.
Yeah, I'd pay to watch this.
Barry ran for 194 yards. And Emmett had a big game too, but he wasn't Barry.
On first down, Emmitt Smith looking for room. Well, he's going to try a Barry Sanders there.
I think he was someone that I thought of that kind of pushed me, and I think that was very mutual. You know, there's nothing like being thought of as the top running back in the NFL.
Emmitt Smith, he has the first down.
Almost like Emmett was saying, I've seen enough of Barry Sanders. Give me that football.
Sanders, Barry to the Dallas 47-yard line.
Oh, boy. He is playing like he is possessed tonight. How many changes of direction do you make in one run? This is a special night, folks, with 22 and 20 going at it.
Being able to play the way I did and the way we did to win in overtime.
He's got it just inside the upright.
It's still one of those things that I think about and one of those cherished memories for me of playing the great game.
He never comes at you. He's always running away from you. He creates hard angles to pursue him. That's what makes him that much more elusive. Barry is somebody that you hope you tackle him. You know, it's not like you're gonna go out and say, I'm gonna put a good lick on him. You just hope you get him down.
Barry could run behind the Rockettes and gain 2,000 yards if he wanted to. That's how good. It didn't matter who blocked for him. He'd find a way because he had his own running style.
It was unique, but to me, it was the only way I'd ever run. I was always the smallest guy or the near smallest guy out there. I was never going to be a guy out running over everyone, dipping my shoulder. There's always a design play, just being able to run that way. Run, you know, follow what you see and follow your eyes.
Nobody's perfect. You miss blocks. We would tell all the young guys, whoever was in there, just go to the next level. They're not going to tackle them one-on-one. If the play's supposed to hit to the right side and you see the secondary flowing to the left, obviously he's cut back.
There's Barry up the middle, 35, cuts to the right, 30, cuts it back over the middle, 20, to the 15, to the 10, to the 5, touchdown!
Each week I would take time to go in and watch the offensive film because I wanted to watch Barry Sanders as a fan. I didn't want to watch him as a teammate. I didn't want to watch him as a defensive player. I just wanted to watch him as a fan. And that's, I think, the biggest compliment I can pay any player.
For 10 seasons, fans enjoyed watching the elusive style unique to Sanders. With a decade of spectacular highlights, it'd be difficult to regard only one game the greatest. Certainly, though, the final matchup of the '97 regular season was one for the books.
Simply for the Lions win, they're in the playoffs. If they lose, they're out. Barry Sanders goes for another rushing title, needs 131 to hit the 2,000 mark.
Actually, to this day, I remember my lead for that game was 1 for the money, 2,000 for the show.
Well, I don't know if I would say I had the game figured out, but from the running back position, felt like I wasn't going to get any better. I remember watching Eric Dickerson run for 2,000. I remember watching OJ run for 2,000. And even in my own career prior to that time, you know, getting close a couple of times and just realizing that it's just really tough to do.
Sanders. A lot of great moves, but all to no avail as he's wrapped up by Dwayne Gordon.
And the fact he has only 20 yards in the first half today gives the Jets defense very high marks.
Judging by how the Jets played us the first half, they did a good job of bottling up our running game, and it didn't look good. But I think for me, I was always very patient. I always knew that it would happen if given enough opportunities and the flow of the game.
Sanders on the draw. Longest run of the game, and he's in the clear. 40, 30, inside the 20. Barry Sanders brings this crowd to life.
Keep running the football. I always believed in that. You know, and sure enough, you know, we bust one out of there.
And give it to Sanders. Oh, what a move! Oh, my!
The go-ahead and clinching touchdown as he went into the end zone, you could see him shaking his right hand like that. This was a guy who never spiked the ball, never selling, just handed it to the referee, but he knew that. He knew what it meant. He went in there shaking his right hand.
The curtain has finally raised on the Barry Sanders show, and suddenly he has 95 yards rushing, and more important, the Lions have the lead.
Detroit would go on to hold the Jets for the remainder of the game. And although it wasn't the typical highlight reel run, Sanders' 2-yard gain to hit 2,000 was a milestone moment worthy of stoppage in play.
Well, they should take the ball out of the game. Yeah, they're going to take this ball because this is the ball that he got 2,000.
There it is. The linemen, they're the ones who wanted the 2,000. Barry didn't talk about it.
You know, it was such a great year. Guys that I had a chance to line up with that cared so much about, you know, seeing me succeed. To see us run off 14 consecutive 100-yard games, that was something they really took pride in.
Gets the call. Here he goes! All the way to the 3-yard line.
We end up getting the 2,000 yards. We end up getting the win. And again, it was one of those days. I just remember the noise and the sort and just the excitement of the crowd. You know, was so real and loud and exciting. Just to, you know, another one of those treasured memories.
First Jordan, then Gretzky, then Elway, now this, which unlike the others was completely unexpected.
Only one average Sanders season away from breaking the NFL's all-time rushing record, the 31-year-old today announced he is retiring from pro football after 10 seasons.
It's hard to leave. You know, even when I knew it was time, it was hard to leave because I played it all my life and being able to play it at the level that I did, I just understood that there was no more to do, that the fire, I guess, and me to be a player every day was gone, and that it was time to move on. And even though I was a little bit torn, I understood that about myself at that time, and so that's what I did.
We won't belabor the what might have been.
Well, we all know now, even Emmett to this day, he may not say it, had not Barry retired early, we'd know who will be the all-time leading rusher.
Nor will we try to explain the dynamic of a father's love.
And now I want to introduce you to the third best running back that ever lived, Barry Sanders.
Rather, we'll hear the harmony and stories, second fiddle to one's long been told. We start with training camp.
First week Barry got here, and I was in my second year. I was going to show Barry how tough I was. So I kind of whacked him in practice, and Wayne liked to drive his golf cart around practice. He came up to me, and he's got his cigar, and he said, "Chris, come here." I said, "Yeah, Coach." He says, "Man, I love you. I drafted you. We're from the same hometown. We're boys. I got to tell you, if you hit Barry one more time, you're going to be on a bus back to Canton. I don't care who you are. Got it, Coach."
There's a former sports writer here in Detroit, Kurt Sylvester, who covered the Lions. We had a cable TV show. It ran for 10 years here in Detroit, and Barry came on every single year. And we had a limousine service that would take the players to the, pick them up and then take them to the studio. He always drove himself. Okay, we took it. So he was just a good dude, man. He really was.
You think about a guy like Barry Sanders and joining him and thinking that there's an opportunity for me to be alongside one of what turned out to be the best running back in the history of the game.
He was the greatest, certainly, to play for the Lions. He carried himself with dignity.
You know, when you get drafted, you don't know where you're going to end up. And I can't think of a better place for me than Detroit.
Obviously, everybody knows what Barry meant to not only our team, but to the league, and what a weapon he was. He's the GOAT, the greatest of all time.
My dad is truly the reason why I am here. He's a lifelong fan of the game.
From a very early age, going to work with him, we repaired a lot of roofs. We installed windows and doors, painted houses. One thing that he certainly wanted to make sure he did with his children was give them a good work ethic. He has such an influence on everything that I did.
Everything he did was much. 1989 NFL Rookie of the Year. Ran for over 1,100 yards and was nominated to the Pro Bowl in each of his 10 seasons. Four-time league-leading rusher who ranks third all-time with 15,269 yards. And of course, the Hall of Fame.
And to be in that elite group, all the great players that have played this game and great runners that have played the game, that's one of the finest compliments that I could ever receive. And so looking back, for me, it's a lot of it is sort of hard to believe. It was something that I treasured, just being a player and having the success that I did. That was truly a unique, fantastic, outer world experience. It was a thrill. And playing running back in the NFL, to me, there was no greater gift.